Yes, thanks for the intro video. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of ADMH Adoption of Digital Marketing in Healthcare, a community in healthcare and wellness sector, I, Chandan Anand, Vice President of INOSOF Group and ADMH, welcome you all today. ADMH presents Healthcare Summit 2021 on the topic Healthcare Metamorphosis, Technocentrism, and is the pressing priority. We thank all our partners who supported in our cause today. Digital partner, INOSOF Digital, Academia partner, ASMA, AI partner, ORAI. We feel very privileged and glad to host such an event. I would like to drive your kind attention towards few of the initiatives being undertaken by ADMH. So ADMH is an emerging leading community in healthcare and wellness sector with an outreach of over 10,000 industry stakeholders. As health and holistic well-being taking the center stage in our life, healthcare marketing has also grown in importance as the sector rapidly evolves and explores new opportunities in the world where the power of digital technology plays an integral role for driving growth and business success. ADMH is creating knowledge sharing platform and networking platform via webinars and virtual events with who's who from the industry, creating opportunities of collaborations between corporate, government, and healthcare stakeholders. ADMH community ecosystem comprises of stakeholders from the healthcare industry, including doctors, healthcare practitioners, and marketeers, pharmaceutical companies, hospital administrators, government regulatory bodies, health tech companies, solution providers, and startups. We also encourage you to share your innovation, initiatives, articles, news stories, or interesting case studies. Our editorial team will help publish the content on ADMH portal with a wide social media impactful reach via LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. With all these special initiatives, ADMH is emerging as one of the pioneer community in India, helping doctors, hospitals, and healthcare professionals with the power of digital and social media for the business growth and patient reach. This was the brief about ADMH. So the deliberation today will help the expert talks and comments over the various important related topics related to the technology trends that are transforming the healthcare sector today, innovations that are changing the dynamics in healthcare industry, how the pandemic reshaped the healthcare industry's priorities, opportunities and challenges for the healthcare business, role of artificial intelligence and machine learning as an effective healthcare marketing tool, and many more. We are thrilled to inform that the webinar got an overwhelming response and participation from across the country. We are glad to have the participation, you as a listeners, as an attendees, as speakers and partners. We are really, really thankful to all of you. Now, going ahead with the proceedings of the sessions, may I please invite Mr. Anupam Kulkarni, National Sales Head from INOSOF Digital. So Anupam will be having a thoughtful presentation from you on how INOSOF Digital is helping the transformation in the healthcare and wellness industry. Over to you, Anupam.
Anupam, you are in mute.
Anupam, please unmute.
Hello. Yes, am I audible now?
Yes. Yeah.
Great. So, thank you so much for the opportunity in the first place. It's an absolute privilege to be a part of, this discussion. And, I'm really looking forward to, hear from all the industry leaders. And, along with that, to begin with, I'm also going to talk about the role of digital marketing, as the great technology advancements are taking place in this sector. Chandan, can you just allow me to share my screen? Yeah, there. My screen is visible to everybody.
Yes, perfect.
Yes, okay. So I think, with today's topic, which is very interesting, how technology advancements is the pressing priority in the healthcare industry. What I'm going to talk about today is the technology advancements in healthcare and what role digital marketing is going to play, in the near future. I read this beautiful line, while I was doing my reading, that the care in healthcare is, slowly shifting from the hospitals to clinics, from clinics to homes, and from homes to, 24/7 ubiquitous access, because of the, which is totally driven by mobile. And I think with this trend and with this technology advancements, it is very, very critical for us to understand the kind of role digital marketing will play in the near future. And with technology advancements happening in all three B's of healthcare, talking typically about the biology, bytes, and bandwidth, we are going to experience healthcare in a totally new format, in the near future. So, to understand, the role of digital marketing in the technology advancement stage, it is also important to understand what is the impact of digital technology in healthcare. Just to give you quick points, I think the access to information, because of that, the kind of effective communication that we can do with the stakeholders, with the patients, e-health records, big data, and obviously the processing of that data and the kind of insights that it can produce. Also, the new trends like telehealth and health apps. That's the kind of impact that we have had because of the digital technology, and I think going forward, it will only get better. Now, while we are talking about the kind of impact that it's having on the industry, it is also important to look at how users are adapting to digital media, especially in India. When we talk about adoption of such trends, in the masses, I think nothing better than having a quick look at certain insights. And I'm very glad to present these insights. So in 2020, consult doctor online, this search term went up by 60% year on year. I think this is maybe, all because of the pandemic. But people have really, started accepting, that there are certain things even in healthcare industry which can happen online. And I think the industry has also facilitated that. Also, nearly 77% of the patients are using search engines before they book the appointments. I think that's the kind of information search that is happening before they approach healthcare professional, hospitals, clinics, and any professional who belongs to this industry. Also, searches with an intent of reviewing a doctor or a hospital, they went up by 33%, which essentially means that people are now in a position, or rather they want to take a decision which is more information driven. I think word of mouth has been a big thing in healthcare industry, but today people are also referring to internet more and more, to read and understand more about the reputation of a doctor or a hospital, and that reviewing is increasing day by day. Also in 2020, downloads of health applications, health apps to be precise, they grew by 30%. And I think we have visually seen, also the advertising and the promotion of health applications getting better and better day by day. So I am not really surprised with this fact, but the fact is that that growth is something that we need to understand. Also, the 41% of people, this was a survey which was done, by Statistica, and 41% of people say that social media would affect their choice of healthcare provider, which is again in line with how people are using these digital tools more and more to figure out information and know more about, a healthcare provider before approaching them. Also, the country has seen 270% growth year on year in voice searches. I would like to tell that this is a broader growth that we are seeing in all types of voice searches. And there is a particular growth which is seen in the way people use voice search for healthcare also. And I think we all, should be aware of a fact that voice search going ahead is going to be the big thing, especially from, the not completely the rural part of India, but also the tier 2, tier 3 cities. They are using voice searches very, very effectively. So I think the question is that the facts, are there to see. But, for us, what is important is that what is driving this massive shift in consumer behavior when it comes to healthcare. We will have to map these reasons of this changed consumer behavior. And, what I believe is, that there are certain factors which are causing this change in consumer behavior. To begin with, I think there is a better market maturity in handling of these digital mediums. People are better versed with all the digital platforms. Obviously, we have shifted from desktops to mobiles, and almost 8 out of 10 people having access to smartphone device. So the maturity is better. What also is happening is, because the industry has adopted to digital media better, uh, the healthcare industry and the professionals are ready to sort of reach relevant audience. When we talk about mass media, it reaches out to everybody. We can't really pinpoint who is my target audience, who is my prospect, and only communicate to that. Digital media allows us to do that. Also, along with a very relevant reach has come a personalization. And I think we all experience that in our daily lives, that there is a great deal of personalization in the way digital communication is happening. Uh, Along with that, the reason why digital marketing technologies are adopted more and more is because it gives you measurability. Also, the multi-channel, touch points that it can create. Today we are sitting in a scenario where, your behavioral traits decide what you see on your mobile. They decide what you see on your desktops. It decides what you see on your TVs also. So that's the kind of multi-channel touch points that it has created. And along with all that, I think, one thing that is really driving everything is the convenience that it is bringing to all the people. And I think these are the driving factors, why people are changing their behavior. Uh, again, coming back to the point as to what is the role that digital marketing is going to play, a marketing, and that too a digital marketing is going to play. And what I really believe is that digital marketing will play a vital role to make sure that technology advancements which are happening in the industry are communicated, adopted, and accepted well by people at large. I think that's the role of marketing. That's the role of reaching out to people. That the advancements, in this industry are communicated and accepted well by people. Now, if we want our advancements, technological advancements, to be accepted by people, it is very, very critical that we reach out to right set of audiences. And what are the digital touch points that healthcare industry in particular needs to, keep a close look at, is something that we are going to see. The first touch point, I think, which has really transformed in last couple of years, is the new age web utilities. In pandemic, we saw that today we have online doctor consultation infrastructure available, and more people are subscribing to it. Along with that, online appointments, prescriptions, follow-ups, easy payment options, all these utilities are only creating convenience for people to accept, the way forward. Also, it is very, very critical, that we, along with all the facilities at a patient end, we also start working on developing communities and knowledge centers with the help of technology, and stay in touch with audiences post and, I mean, pre and post, diagnosis, and uh, their treatment also. So I think that's very critical. Moving ahead, one of the key areas which is going to play a very vital role in the time to come is the search engine optimization. Everything, I mean, people have heard this term for a long, long time, but because of this, new trends like voice search and featured answer snippets, I think search engine optimization is going to play a very, very critical role in terms of reducing ad spends and reaching out to people in a more organic manner, more trustworthy in nature. It is critical for every healthcare provider, to take this up really seriously, because it's going to produce organic results for us. So being consistent, focusing on local SEO, optimizing optimize for voice search, which is going to be the next big thing, and also creating featured answer snippets. These are some of the key points that we have to keep in mind. One of the examples that I would like to give here is that we have been associated with UAE's most preferred home healthcare partner, AIMS Healthcare, which is from Dubai, and they have this mission of being the most preferred home healthcare partner in Dubai, and I think in order to do that, it was their need and objective to have better web visibility and achieve better organic growth for organic traffic growth for their website. Because we wanted to achieve that, we actually devised a search engine optimization strategy, which was built around link building, voice and mobile optimization, content optimization, content creation in terms of blogging and featured answers. And as a result of that, over the period of 4 months, we could actually increase the organic traffic on the website by 165%. The leads, the prospects which are generated through the website, shifted from 28 to 128. And all the business, around 23 business important keywords were ranking at the top positions. So that's the kind of impact, that it can have. And, it's SEO is about being found when people are looking for you. So it's again very, very critical. Moving ahead, social media marketing. I think what is really critical is that we need to be social when it comes to social media marketing. It was always about connecting with people, and in order to do so, sharing information, creating transparency, improving patient interactions, literally interacting with your patients, creating brand ambassadors who can produce e-word of mouth on internet, and creating a community and care for our stakeholders is extremely critical through social media marketing. Moving on, paid advertising, which is typically used for generating prospects for specific service offerings in this industry. It's a great tool. You have a lot of data, insights. You can actually reach out to right people for your, offerings. And when we talk about right people, we follow this principle called as IGCB, which is people who are high on intent, people who are sitting in the right geographies, people who have right context, and people who have the who show the necessary behavior. I think if we follow this methodology, generating prospects for the businesses is something that we can drive through paid advertising. Again, measurable, can be optimized over the period of time, and we can consistently improve on the results. Equally important to use paid advertising for remarketing to all those people who have got in touch with us but are yet to subscribe to our services. So it will work as a top of the mind recall medium. And also the video marketing is going to be very, very critical. So we don't use paid advertising always just to generate prospects or leads. It's also about making sure that the right information, important information, knowledge is reached out to the right set of audiences, and as much as possible. So I think doing that is very, very important. Probably the biggest and the most important part of digital marketing for healthcare industry is content marketing, because more content, more authority is the principle that we believe in. So creating shareable content, creating thought leadership by producing more and more content which is relevant and which is necessary to create awareness in the people mind is very, very critical. Along with producing content, along with developing content, what is really important is that we devise a multi-channel distribution system also, because we are talking about content marketing and not just content development. So devising that multi-channel distribution system to distribute your content and automating it to a great deal through a lot of martech platforms which are available today is very, very important. Again, very critical, online reputation management. This has become more important, I would say, and the probably the only reason is that because of the pandemic and the transformation that we have seen, there is increased number of online users. More the users, more is the need to do reputation management online. So, following, creating a SOP for reputation management, acknowledging, addressing, and taking action on what people are saying, what they want, what is their feedback is critical. It's very often, it's the best source of insights for a to improve service, or any sort of insights that you may get from people. And also, it is very critical to improve the traffic and conversions also, because as we saw in the statistics, most of the people will look at your reputation before approaching you. Going ahead, the last touch point that we are going to talk about is the web interface. I think there is a growing need to have a mobile first approach here. There was a time when we used to create web interfaces, websites, considering the fact that people will touch base on desktops first, and then probably some of them will come to mobile. Today the ratio is exactly opposite. We usually see that 95% of people access information through mobiles. So the mobile first approach is very critical. Having interactive tools like AI-enabled chatbots who can interact with people is critical. Focusing on information accessibility and ease, and also, when we are specifically trying to promote certain services, creating landing pages which offer targeted information to promote services is also very, very critical. Just to give you the glimpses of how this entirely works. So we work with one of the largest aesthetic dermatology setups in India, which is called, named as Skin City India. Now, we have a 4-year-long association with them, and when we actually started working, they wanted to be the best known healthcare brand and be synonymous with body hair, problems in people's mind. So it has taken time. It has taken a lot of efforts over the period of more than 4 years. But our strategy was revolving around creating robust digital footprint, creating the awareness about the services. Obviously, there is a transactional side to the business also. So generating prospects consistently, and at the same time working on creating a larger social community was the strategy. And as a result of that, I think today we have a social community of over 2 lakh, people. Uh, Again, the advantage of having this community in place is that you can frequently talk to them, frequently connect with them. The first rank for all business important keywords, a daily reach of around 2,000 people, more than 100 plus prospects generated for a variety of services, and a
Nice,
continuous content.
that's looking nice. Yes, Anupam.
So that's the kind of impact that you can you can create. So to summarize on the closing note, along with all these media and digital marketing touch points, what is really important is that the digital marketing efforts that we put in, they are holistic and not in silos. Efforts are consistent. They should evolve with time and insights, because digital media will provide you with a lot of data and insights and be relevant to the market scenario and demands. So with this, I would like to conclude my presentation. Yes, thank you so much, Chandan, for the time.
Yes. Thank you so much, Anupam. In fact, it was an eye-opener as a presentation, and in a very simple, representation, how technological advancement in healthcare and the role of digital marketing can help transform our business, and what is the role which digital is playing into it. And it is really very helpful for the players who are still experimenting and looking after how digital marketing and social media can make impact in their business. And now we are aware that we whom to approach, how to reach, and how Digital can help transform the business through various optimized solutions and services which you have. Thank you so much for connecting and joining us, Anupam Kulkarni over here. So this was Mr. Anupam representing Digital, and he was just helping us to understand how digital marketing and social media can help transform the business. So with this, thank you so much, Anupam. And I would now like to invite my colleague Rahul Binoy, who could help us introduce the eminent speakers and the panelists for the day. Rahul.
Yeah, thank you. So, hi, good afternoon, all my dear eminent speakers and my fellow audiences. My name is Rahul Binoy, and I'm the event head representing ADMH. Before starting the panel, I'd like to introduce our speakers we have in here with us. The first speaker I'd like to introduce is an ex-military surgeon with vast corporate hospital leadership experience across the world. He holds an MBBS from MLN Medical College, Allahabad, and completed his master's in surgery residency program from the University of Pune. He's a passionate about healthcare IT and has been a speaker at many international forums, an advisor to many healthcare IT companies. He is the recipient of the top 50 smart healthcare leaders of the world in 2018. Please welcome Dr. Alok Malik. He is the Group CEO and of Omni Hospitals. We welcome you, sir. Our next speaker brings over 2 decades of enterprise leadership, multinational operating, project management, governance, strategic consulting, even investment management, entrepreneurial experience within leading organizations. He's an MBA from the Kellogg School of Management, a master's in manufacturing engineering management, and master's in chemical engineering. Please welcome, he's the Chief Investment Director of Atlas Family Office and Vice Chairman of Dr. Mehta's Hospital, Mr. Sameer Mehta. Welcome you, sir. Our next speaker is a renowned name in Eastern India's private healthcare sector with an growing national footprint. He is known as an exemplary leader, a pathfinder, and a man who has been breaking grounds throughout a career that spans over 3 decades. He is also a successful participant in the Management Development Program from the globally acclaimed Singapore Management University, along with similar programs from top Indian B schools such as IIM Ahmedabad and Bangalore. Please welcome Mr. Rupak Barua. He is the Group CEO of AMRI Hospitals. Our next speaker is a strategic leader with 17 years of rich experience in hospital operations with innovative promotion strategies. She has a track record in all aspects of hospital functions with excellence in delivering accurate information related to business development in tight schedules. He is also proficient in initiating and developing relationships with key decision makers in targeting in implementing strategies for building large teams by promoting a spirit of cooperation between team members. Please welcome Dr. Afreen Saudagar. She is the CEO of Kalseka Hospital. Next, I'd like to introduce an accomplished medical professional with 25 years of experience in medical care and hospital administration. He has a medical and management background with diverse experience in the field of healthcare, ranging from managing operations of super specialty hospitals, regional cluster head to group chief of healthcare organizations. He is also a successful and entrepreneurial P&L manager and business development catalyst. Please welcome Dr. Sandeep Chatrat. He is the regional CEO and medical director, Metro Group of Hospitals. And our next speaker brings with him over 18 years of consumer and healthcare marketing experience. He's an astute leader with relentless pursuit and untiring thirst for perfection, which led him to climb the ladder to become area manager for Novartis India Limited, general manager for Kamineni, and Vice President Marketing for Sunshine's Hospital. He is responsible for strategy, planning, and business development in his organization. Please welcome the Executive Director, Medicover Hospitals, Mr. P. Hari Krishna. Finally, our next speaker, also the moderator of this wonderful panel, is a seasoned professional with over 13 years of hands-on experience in areas such as robotic automation process, Project Online, Project Portfolio Management Solution, and Microsoft SharePoint deployment, Power BI, and BI reporting. He has helped organizations to design and build processes for robotic process automation and has been instrumental in developing business strategies to project selections. Please welcome the Chief Technology Officer of Orai Robotics, Mr. Sujit Das Biswas. Welcome, sir. Now we can begin with the panel. Over to you, Mr. Sujit. So you're on mute.
Yeah, looks like I was in mute. Yeah, I'm audible now.
Yes, we
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today at ADMH Healthcare Summit for Healthcare Metamorphosis, Technocentric in the Pressing Priorities. I would like to welcome all our eminent speakers and all the attendees today. Today, we have some of the most experienced leaders from the healthcare industry to shine some lights on how to make patient care and diagnostics more personalized and enhanced by implementing the right technology. Being involved in technologies of conversation AI to enable omni-channel healthcare marketing, I got extremely excited today to join this event with Orai as an AI partner. I believe we will have plenty, and you will be having a plenty of questions in mind after seeing the tremendous change in the global healthcare market last year. COVID pandemic changed the dynamics of healthcare industry and presented us with a challenge as well as opportunity. Your patients now don't want to visit you on clinic or hospital for every requirements. So you have multiple, so they have basically a multiple online touch points to inquire, ask question, get assistance, obtain consultation, and even their scheduling of appointment if required. Hence, they are the most likely to experience your services on multiple platforms and expect that they stay connected and remember their need. This is when omni-channel healthcare marketing coming into play. Today, we will talk about the importance of technology in current healthcare care scenarios. Our eminent speakers will be highlighting the way pandemic has upgraded the use of technology in healthcare, how we can use AI ML to enhance patient experience in the post-pandemic era, and a lot more. So let's dive in with the most interesting question. Why is it important to harness technology now more than even in the healthcare industry? So, for this question, I want to take a view of all our panelists, starting from Dr. Alok. Dr. Alok, what's your thought about it?
Thank you. It's not a matter of why. It's a matter of why not. Technology has taken a lead in healthcare all over the world, and it's lagged in India because of cost involved. And hospitals are notoriously working on very narrow margins in India, and that was delaying adoption. But right now, faced with what I would say extreme amount of government activism, which reduced their margin, dramatically contracted their margins, and an extreme amount of consumer apathy. Technology seems to be the only savior around. As you very rightly said, hospitals are now rushing to own the patient's mobile, and the hospital chain and the hospital brand, which ends up owning the patient's mobile, the first will reap the maximum benefit. So it's all about establishing the connect with patients. Patients are so used to buying anything, any service or any product, from a TV to actually screw for for hanging the curtain rails, and from a big 1 lakh rupees white good machine to a small doll for their daughter. Everything they order on their mobile, right? And it's delivered home. Why can't healthcare be do the same thing, and why should it not? They're used to it. I mean, 80% of Indians do Facebook on their mobile, right?
Yes. Yes.
So, extreme amount of lots of very, very innovative solutions are coming up. We are incubating a lot of them within our own hospital, working with half a dozen vendors, and they have had a great. And I mean, we actually have a digital marketing officer heading the full digital marketing activity for the hospital in corporate. a very senior person. So the days are coming.
Yes, absolutely.
It's not a matter. The question is not why. Question is why not. If you don't do it now, you would miss the bus.
Yeah, absolutely. You very wellly said that,
Mm.
it's a question of a time. Why not right now? Yeah. So I'll go next to Mr. Mehta, Mr. Samir Mehta, sir. So what's your thought process on this?
Yeah, so I have a slightly contrarian view. I'm not disagreeing that technology as an uptake in healthcare has been growing disproportionately. I'm not disagreeing with the consumer requirement for digital and health has been growing. And I think COVID gave it great impetus. And so is the government, to be fair.
Yeah.
What I challenge is that a lot of our digital spend, especially from the point of view of predominantly most of us use digital to either engage existing customers, one, or to accrue or get hold of new customers. And when we look at the cost of customer acquisition there, especially on digital for healthcare, I'm not sold that that model is clear. I bet any odds that for Dr. Alok's business, the cost of his senior, hire, and digital team is more than the cost of his advertising through digital channel today.
Yeah.
And therefore, when I ask for what is the return on invested capital, in majority of the cases, there is a justification. And that is what I have seen in a couple of different digital businesses, from home healthcare, when we founded India Home Health, to many others. We have about 9 healthcare investments out there, of which one is a hospital ecosystem. For me, for retained, what I call retaining customers, the best form is treat a customer well in your hospital and then give a great service that involves digital beyond the hospital, because obviously digital is a no-brainer for cost of service being reduced as fast as possible. Uh, in terms of spending it to acquire new customers, I'm still not sold. I think there are still much better channels that have much better return on invested capital than digital today.
Yeah, absolutely, Mr. Mehta. So I'll go to now Mr. Rupak Barwa, sir. What's your thought process in this topic?
Thanks, Sujit. I would like to look into that way. That is, you see, for the healthcare industry, if you see that the COVID-19 pandemic is more than a black swan event. It has happened. It's a global experience which we have witnessed and still we are witnessing, and that has forever changed the industry as we have known it in unprecedented ways. Now, consumers, if we are talking about the patients in our case, trust that has been eroded, and their anxiety, uncertainty, and the required ecosystem players to fundamentally transform the way that services are delivered if they are to effectively address the gaps exceeds by the crisis and rebuild confidence in the system. Now, when we are talking about the COVID situation, how it has been transformed, that despite in many devastating impacts of the COVID-19 crisis, that is, yes, of course, it's an unprecedented situation. We had witnessed a devastating crisis, but it does present that healthcare sector with a powerful opportunity to innovate at a quicker pace, or I can say the quickest pace, and in some ways reinvent itself. That we have seen that how this the vaccinations took place. I mean, vaccine took place. The vaccination is going to start from tomorrow. So the how quickest way. Earlier we used to all talking about vaccine takes 4 years, 5 years, 7 years. So much of discussion was going on. But it has been proved that how in a months of time, in 6, 7, 8 months time, the vaccine is now in place, rolled out, and all are ready to accept this vaccine. That's a great opportunity, powerful opportunity that to innovate at a quicker pace. That is one. There are many orthodoxies actually. If you can see, that is about how healthcare teams work and how the system engages. consumers have been broken. Absolutely. Now, amid this stressful and sometimes it is in the chaotic response, these consumers have been broken, and environment, there is a real opportunity to shed the organizational plug that has been built up over many years of status quo, exponentials, and operations and resistance to change. Now, there is a lot of resistance, always changes. There is a the tremendous amount of resistance, and we have faced everywhere to put this your what do you call it, e-prescription. We are in all those areas from the all segment of the employees category of employees, whether it's the doctors or the nurses or the general paramedics. Everywhere we face a lot of tremendous amount of that is a resistance that has been ruled out. Now, enterprises that learn from the disruption caused by COVID-19 to reimagine themselves in a zero-based way will likely evolve, march, and transition into more sociable, synergistic, and resilient organizations. That is the main part. And organizations that can engage consumers in authentic and impactful ways, there's an emerge from this crisis stronger and ultimately thrive in the future. See, earlier what we used to understand that digital as a technology which we are talking about, that is maybe it is only related to the patient outcome or the clinical outcome, or maybe some extent it is operational excellence to create. But this pandemic situation has given us a great lesson that not only is we have suffered in terms of the patient operational efficiencies, but tremendously all the service providers, the healthcare per se, they have suffered is the financial area as well. So both financial part and taking into this the operational part that we have learned, and we have ruled out all the orthodoxies, and we are really taking it forward.
Absolutely, absolutely, sir. So I'll just move on to Dr. Afrin. Dr. Afrin, what's your thought process in this? What's your views, basically?
I agree with Dr. Afrin about why not to adopt it. Yes, there are so many options coming in the market about technology. There are various options which are there, and I strongly believe the one thing which has impacted the healthcare is the cost. So we should be very smart while adopting the technology, which should be cost effective as well as the pockets of the patients as well.
Yeah, true.
So yeah, I believe in why not to opt some.
Yeah. So very well said. So now I'll take a quick view of Mr. Hari Krishna. So Mr. Hari, what's your thought process?
Yeah, so technocentricism is not something new or which was coming at a rapid pace in this country or in this world. It was already there. It was there, and no one can avoid it in this millennium. Only thing what pandemic has done is it accelerated or it has preponed the implementation of technology, whether it is from the perspective of online consultation to the other aspects of healthcare management using technology.
Correct.
So earlier when I started my career in healthcare, way back in 2008, when you talk about technology or application, it was all new. But now you go and see any healthcare manager or professionals, not less than 20 to 30 WhatsApp groups will be there.
Right.
Many people share common WhatsApp groups. Excel sheets have become a very routine feature in our, not only healthcare, but into many other things. So at Medicover, we run 19 hospitals now. And, during the pandemic period, we developed our own application where we started selling our online video consultation. And it was a instant hit because we reached a stage where we used to do more than 1,500 consultations to people who were in need of, having either concerns of COVID, queries on COVID, or treatment for COVID. Because we could adopt it very fast, so we were able to achieve this success. Now, coming to pandemic or regardless of pandemic, how technology will definitely change, because we have entered a new decade of our lives, 2021. And when you can see our 2030 or go back to 2011 to 20, a lot of change which has happened. So what I could perceive is a lot of things which are getting, at least in next 2-3 years, most of Excel sheets work will get extinct from this industry. At least number one. Number two, the apps, will also get disappeared. It's actually started with WhatsApp itself because there is a security challenges which have been raised. So as a company, we have implemented Microsoft Dynamics. We have implemented a lot of technology, and I have a internal digital team which has spread over in various sectors. Like we have a team which works on PHPs, we work on HTMLs, we work on social media, we work on lead generation. We are because we changed our brand name from MaxCure to Medicover 5 years back. In last 2 years, we changed our name as Medicover now. And now we generate a lead of over 8,000 website visitors a day. This is because of focused approach to the technology. Because we keep adding hospitals, so it becomes very important for us to penetrate. And social media gives us this platform of reaching out to people very fast. So as a company, we always believed that technologies will be the key driving factor, because to treat a patient in healthcare, it requires more than 15 to 16 people. And to have this seamless coordination and communication among the 16 people, technology will definitely bring in change.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're now working on a lot of machine learning software process, and we are bringing in a lot of AI technology. In fact, we have very recently installed AI cameras in all the entry-exit points of our hospital, which will capture even emotions of every person who's entering. It will filter out all the employees and doctors or the current staff, and it will also give you footfall counts. It will give you how many people have left your hospital with happiness or with some sort of sorrow, so that you can give the exactly pinpoint and then call. So maybe we are one of the first hospital in India to implement. I don't know if someone else has also done it, but we have done it. So our current job is to completely replace no WhatsApp groups in the hospital, and no Excel sheet is what we are working towards. And hopefully by 21 end, or maybe 22, mid of 22, we should be replacing that. And we will be bringing in a lot of applications which will integrate into one software, where when a process deviation, because the current HMIS which is used in this industry is only input based. You give input, even if you forget some input, finally you can get your work done and patient is discharged. So we are trying to develop an applications where it will give you alerts also. If some input is missed, it will continuously giving you alert, and the people get activated to finish it off. So technology for us has only accelerated its implementation in healthcare, rather than pandemic has shown any new way of life.
Yeah,
So that's my view. Okay.
Great to know you that how technology is being now coming inside into the healthcare industry and making it more revolutionized. So with my second question, I move to Dr. Sandeep. So sir, I have a quick question for you. How has the pandemic impacted or changed the way of innovation is leveraged in the healthcare industry? Dr. Sandeep. Sir, you are in mute, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening, sir. You went back to mute again. You need to unmute your mic.
No, I can hear you now.
Yes. We also can hear you. Please go ahead, sir.
You see, this COVID transformation has catalyzed through the technology only, and healthcare has become a part of integral part of the health agenda, just like a national security and the clinical care protocols, and especially through the technology, the virtual consults, the digital healthcare has revolutionized the working of the hospital a great deal. And before the COVID era, the virtual consults were not as popular. Neither were we were going for so much of digital engagement. Now the entire fashion of marketing has changed. It has become digital marketing as a main focus. Earlier, it was more on the one-to-one basis. The paradigm change in marketing has shifted totally to the digital through the use of technology due to the COVID. And this metamorphosis has happened because of the COVID transformation. Also, I want to emphasize through the technology, vaccine which has been manufactured and which has been implemented now in India. This has also come through the transformation and through the technological breakthrough. And the digital passports are being created through the CoWIN application, which again is a technology-driven initiative. Telemedicine, I want to highlight in a very big way, has totally revolutionized the healthcare delivery system in our country now. Especially it is catalyzed by the disruption caused by the COVID. Also, I want to highlight that artificial intelligence is something which has assumed a great importance in today's time. Especially, I think COVID has taught us how we can predict such sort of epidemics in a good way, in a prior way, so that we can take preemptive actions. So the emphasis has increased on the usage of artificial intelligence and how it can be more effectively used for predicting such epidemics as COVID. Contactless surgery, especially I want to highlight the robotic surgery initiatives, which has gained a great momentum during COVID times. And earlier robotic surgery was important, but now with the awareness in people about the contactless surgery, robotic surgery has assumed a exponential potential. EHR, electronic health records, is again a very important area where I find that the technology breakthrough has helped us a lot. And especially in COVID, I have seen few hospitals who have started adopting EHR models after the COVID epidemic, and that has been also a transformation. Usage of artificial intelligence for predicting epidemics is one thing which I want to highlight a great deal. And COVID has definitely taught us the data sharing practices, and the data sharing practices have gone to the next level. Especially I have seen in major metros where the reporting structure and the systems of digitally enabled and IT enabled and Wi-Fi enabled and internet enabled data sharing through the WhatsApp, through the Facebooks, through the Zoom meetings like what we are doing today. So healthcare will never be the same now. It will be a totally different transformation, which is the metamorphosis has happened because of technological centricity. And that is what the main topic of our discussion is. And I think COVID has taught us so many new lessons and so many new paradigms where the breakthroughs and new things are coming up. And there is enormous amount of data sharing practices which we are witnessing now, which was not earlier practiced. So we have come from a survival to a revival approach, especially with this vaccination and the COVID application. I was busy for last half an hour because our hospital, Metro Group of Hospital, also we are participating as a vaccination center. Metro Group has 12 hospitals all over Delhi NCR. And we are also a very important healthcare provider in northern India. We have hospitals from Haridwar to up till Jaipur. And so what we have seen that how digital transformation in implementing the COVID vaccination program is again another milestone, because a passport, a certificate will be generated after a person is given the vaccine, and which will help in tracking after 28 days for the second vaccine. So how beautifully the technology has amalgamated and has transformed overall healthcare delivery system. I think is something that we have to all appreciate a great deal. I also feel that there are few learnings, especially from where the virus has leaked from the Wuhan in China. So the P4 biosafety norms will be becoming now more stringent in time to come, because definitely these sort of epidemics need to be preventive more. Safety, biosafety norms will also get strengthened. And remote working, working from home is something which is again technology enabled and technology driven, which is very much now being practiced and has savings. Like conferences, we do spend so many lakhs on this. So simple Zoom meetings is a very, very effective way of doing a conference and having a virtual consults, a virtual conferences. Like I've been able, by grace of God, to attend more than 20 conferences on COVID in last 6 months. And I found the technology is more economical, fast, and definitely cost effective, and definitely has a advantage, rather saving of time in travel, in various logistics are very beautifully. I was not using Zoom, as a matter of fact, before COVID. And after the COVID experience, the Zoom has become like daily part of our life.
Absolutely.
So this is definitely a very big plus, where the technology centricity has resulted in healthcare metamorphosis during the COVID times.
Thank you, Dr. Sandeep, for putting so much of detail into it. So I'll go to Barua sir back, sir. What your thought process of what are the what is the innovation which is leveraged in the healthcare industry in the current pandemic? Barua sir, you are in mute.
Yeah. Sujit, as Dr. Chapras has mentioned about that, what are the things we have learned out of this pandemic situation? See, we all know that it was a great learning session, this pandemic, what we have seen. And as I have earlier mentioned, that pandemic is more than a black swan event for so-called healthcare industry is concerned. Healthcare industry, particularly during this COVID situation, if we, it's not our hospital I'm talking about, as a whole, if you see the healthcare industry, how they have performed, first thing we could see, there is an operational deficiency. There is a two part that we have already mentioned about that. There is an operational deficiency and there is a financial deficiency. Now, if we are talking about operational deficiency, what we could see, suddenly we could see there is a drop of the patient's footfall, because no one is willing to visit the hospital, and those who are particularly the senior citizens and all, they all are talking about how we can see the patients the online. So then, though this technology actually earlier, the last 1 decade, we were all working very hard to infuse this technology in the healthcare system. But there was a lot of resistance we could see. And yes, some of the hospitals has done a lot. Some of the hospitals maybe could not do it because of the resistance. But we all could understand that technology is the one word that can transform the healthcare and can really look for, yes, your better treatment, virtual reality tools, and wearable devices, telehealth. All those things really can transform the healthcare system. So all what we have started doing in our city, all those things at a time, we started putting in our system. So immediately we started virtual healthcare. That is a major part that we would understand, and the telehealth. Then we started with your home isolation care. That's in a very big way. We started talking about the home isolation, and because in this world, if you see, there is a 52% of all your web browsings in the world occurs on the mobile devices. That we all can understand. 2.7 billion actually people worldwide own smartphones, and 77% of the customers are going online to book medical appointments. So these are the things when it started. So all we have transformed this our whole process through this your technology. We started this your that whole through technology, the discharge of the patient. We started this with the discharge of the patient through this technology. We have created a doctor's app. Whatever the major this vital parameters of the patients that we have started through this your mobile app, that's the doctor's app. We have created nursing app so that the less touch of the nurses and all. And the more one thing that we have created, that the robot actually we have introduced in terms of the patient, the doctor's visit. So what we started doing this year, the doctors should less visit the place, I mean the COVID place, and how we can evolve the system where doctors can see the patient, can talk to the patient. And so we have introduced a robot in the system, and in almost all our 4 hospitals, we have introduced the robotic consultation, and the patients were extremely happy. That one thing also we could face business supply chain. Supply chain was a big area of concern. One is the patient part, but I'm talking about to some extent there is the financial part as well. The supply chain, because of the high cost of the PPE and the safety gears. So we had put a lot of the technology in that system, so even in AI and all. And we have contacted some of the large agencies who can help us to negotiate this through AI system. They can negotiate our prices and all, because there is no transportation system available. So there is a huge crisis. So we could manage in that way. And that's one part also that we could leverage. This is a workforce strategies, because healthcare workers is tremendously under stress and impacted by the COVID-19 crisis. So we have created a lot of your technology in the workforce strategies as well, where the less number of staff can come, then more we the technology use, as you were talking about work from home, the Zoom, or the virtual meetings with the robot through this your medical consultant. So all those things together, actually, we could manage the COVID situation very, very effectively. We could manage both operational and the financial, both way. And really, we are transforming our whole healthcare system in our unit as well, all our units, through this your transformation of this technology. That is the whole thing we have learned and we have implemented as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. So now with this, I'll come back to Dr. Alok. Sir, we have recently heard that, from Dr. Sandeep and Barua sir as well, that, the current robotic surgery and telehealth, even tracking the vaccination processing is part of the technology now. So what do you think is now some of the technology trends that are transforming healthcare sector today?
See, the first is connectivity to the patient.
Mm-hmm.
Connectivity is very important. I mean, I think very shortly, this whole jing-bang of calling a hospital call center, book an appointment, go stand in a queue is all going to be finished.
Mm-hmm.
1/3 of our consults will be on video, and it will be all booked through an app. You book a consult, you prepay, you have a consult. Your ordered investigations, your samples get collected at home, your medicines get delivered at home. Everything is available. Many people, including us, we are already doing that, right? So that will become more mainstream, right? The second thing is part of this technology outreach, if we may. Most hospitals will ultimately have robust app-based patient records. By which they can actually, the patients can view their diagnostic reports. It's not that the best that hospitals are doing till now, oh, we have sent a soft copy to your email, but now it's like it's your banking app. If your banking app can securely tell you, okay, this is your FD fixed deposit account, and this is your current balance, and this is your savings balance, and you can open fixed deposits, you can terminate fixed deposits, you can do a bunch of things in a banking app, right? The same thing, you will be able to do a bunch of things through a patient app, right? You can consume healthcare through that app. That will be I could stick my neck out 5 years from now. It will be so mainstream that that will be the primary mode of communication of the patient with the hospital.
Absolutely.
Right. So it will be 360 degrees. At Mr. Samir very rightly said, it's not what happens prior to in the beginning at the patient pickup point. What happens post discharge?
Yeah.
You know, it's a 360-degree connect, and I'll be happy to even tell Mr. Samir that our digital is, of course, another channel of marketing. It's not will be the only channel of marketing. But like all channels, any channel is welcome. And of course, all hospitals will look at cost of acquisition. And I'm happy to reiterate that our cost of acquisition, including the full cost of digital team, is the lowest amongst all channels, right? Though it is still forming a very small, say about less than 10% of a total business, the digital channel. But I see that growing up, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, digital is going to be big. It will be ultimately banks are saying, I will charge you for coming to the bank to make a transaction, right? There'll be a convenience charge, right? So the same way, they will send a guy home if you're a premium customer and do it free of cost. But if you come to the branch, they will charge you.
They will charge you.
The same way hospitals say, if you come to the hospital for something which you can do on your app, we'll charge you extra.
Yeah, yeah, well said, sir. Well said. So I'll come to Mr. Samir on the views that what are the the recent innovation which is leveraged in the current health industry, Mr. Samir.
Yeah, so let me share perhaps 2 or 3 things that we've implemented, because I think at the end of the day, things brought to life are actually logical. And I completely agree with Rupak and Alok. Their views that it's pretty much connectivity to the customer in some form that is winning the day in many ways. So we implemented about a year and a half ago for more chronic care patients, solution that allowed remote vital monitoring for customers. And what happened is, a month into COVID, we found that the best use case was actually using it within our hospitals, but also to do home care monitoring. So we were monitoring, all our ICUs are pretty much connected. We use a technology from a company called Health Sensei, which we've now invested in. And they basically do remote monitoring of ICUs at home, ward side, outpatient. So effectively digitizing the hospital experience from a consumer touch point of view. They don't do the telemedicine yet. I'm assuming they'll probably outsource it in time because that's not their skill set. But they are absolute masters and able to effectively connect machine A with machine C. So what used to be a real pain point for me in 2 forms. One is when I had my hospital information system or management system. Every 2 years, we used to go back and beg to the provider and supplier to basically put another machine or a new monitor, integrate that into our system remotely, right? Whether it's a laboratory or a radiology new piece of kit. Now I don't have that pain again because I have a middleware provider that effectively keeps doing that per year, and it costs me a fraction. It's like 3 lakhs for all my ICUs, all my beds. And it's a per year cost. So it translates into less than 10,000 rupees per bed per year, which we have found the lowest cost. So I think that is one example that we have been able to implement quite successfully. Another example that we did, which is a full digital, and the advantage of things like that is this connectivity concept. So on my phone, my clinician at the peak of COVID was able to see their customers 24/7. Now, I'll tell you a use case that we never foresaw before COVID. And that was my nurses and my duty doctors started putting these alerts onto these monitors by patient. So they obviously had seen a patient had maybe come in on a Saturday, it's a Sunday afternoon. You've seen an amount of patient stabilization in some form. So you would put a set of, how do you call it, threshold alerts between 2 different limits. And because individuals were personalizing that per patient, what I found, first the nurses did it, then the duty doctor did it, then the head of the ICU did it. So what ended up happening, and these were all different alert thresholds. So for each patient, it varied quite significantly, completely personalized. The how do you call it? The use case was with the clinician. It was not with me.
Okay.
The biggest advantage is family members of some of our patients love the technology because they got updates. So they put their own thresholds.
Yeah.
Right. Now, of course, the danger in that is what happens if the family goes down like one saturation point, they'll give you a call. Right. So that is the opposite side of that spectrum. But we actually then changed the remit. So for external facing reality, we had a report that went out every day. And when things escalated, automatically there was an escalation alert. So connectivity for a customer was rockstar. The real win case for me is, say at 12 at night on a Sunday night when my shift pattern is at its weakest, right? Practically, because a lot of clinicians disappeared or they had abnormal health conditions themselves during COVID. So some of them were scared of coming into the hospital. I then had a system that was 24/7. I had a system that had alerts and escalation alerts within my internal system. So one of the things I can actually say, and it's the first time I ever saw it with technology, my COVID success rate was over 99.4% in my main hospital. And in my brand new hospital, and this is the learning for me, a hospital that had been in business for less than a year, that had pretty much a completely new team of staff, had a COVID success rate, including ICUs, including 100% of all COVID customers at 98.7%, which was better than the India standard by a long way.
Right?
And I say that's technology. I don't think that there were some other things we did that were smart, but I think a fair bit of this was technology. And because we had this technology from Health Sensei, it made my life a lot easier because frankly, I just say digitize this piece of the hospital. And now I no longer have a clinician arguing what to use because their life got saved or they didn't visit the customer as much during that period because they had an automatic alert. So when they visited the customer, it didn't become a response to the alarm going off. It became a response to a customer need or a normal check. So I think that is a big win for us. And the other technologies we're seeing winning is we are seeing the emergence of machine learning. So we're doing something for our billing cycles and effectively to reduce the cost of insurance transactions. We have some gamified dashboards that is enabling competition within our hospitals. We have an app for wellness, or what I would call basically imbibing strong habits from hospitals. There's another company called Atlas Intelligence that basically gamifies the healthcare experience for wellness. So how to keep people out of a hospital, but through better habits. And it's things like that. I think taking some of these, and today the great news in India is the melting pot, just like there are a few other places on the planet for a lot of app development, for a lot of new technologies and startups. So the capacity for us to implement that is at a time that we've never had before. So in that way, I'm full agreement. I think technology is required in healthcare. There is absolutely no doubt. I think we are our own worst enemy most of the time because we're sometimes scared of the risk of technology, from customer experiences to customer data to customer safety to our own jobs sometimes. But I think it's very much here to stay.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Mehta. So with my next question, I just want to go to Mr. Hari. Mr. Hari, what do you think is the next outlook for healthcare industry in post-pandemic world? Mr. Hari? Mr. Hari? Looks like he got dropped.
Yes, yeah. He's not here.
Okay, so he got dropped. So no problem. So
Hari left due to an emergency. He just messaged.
Oh, okay. Not a problem. So I'll ask the same question to Dr. Afreen. So Dr. Afreen, what do you think is the outlook of healthcare industry in post-pandemic world?
She has also, commented that she's facing a network issue. Maybe.
Okay, so what I'll do because of the limited time which we have, I'll just move into my final question that we have heard Dr. Sandeep, we have heard Dr. Barua, we have heard Mr. Samir as well, and we have heard that we are looking from a customer experience perspective, like 360-degree of customers, customer-based apps, personalization. So my next question to all of our panelists is, how can AI ML be the base of offer for more customized, customer-centric healthcare marketing? So what's your view on this? So I repeat my question. It's basically how AI and ML be used to offer more customer experience in healthcare marketing. So I quickly go to Dr. Sandeep on this. So what is your view?
See, I think that definitely there is improved access to the healthcare, which we have observed through the usage of technology, and which has come through this unprecedented COVID times. And definitely the access to healthcare, because when we are talking of customer, the first contact is the how you can increase the access to the customer.
Correct.
And customer has also adopted the technology in a very proactive way. So because if you're going for virtual consults or teleconsults, the customer also has to be a part of the acceptance of the change, and that has happened, I think, a great deal. So definitely the access to healthcare has increased during these times, and will be definitely in future also. There, digital power, digital is the power actually now. I mean, we have to all understand one thing, that there is no world without digital power. There were times when the adoption of technology and usage of digital access. Now the doctors know that the patient and the customer has accepted the technology, and therefore they have, and there is no other way during these COVID times, because COVID has not gone. Let me tell you, the post-COVID times, just now the incidences, but we have seen the peaks going up and down. In future also, definitely we would expect that there would be time when the cases would be more. So it is just a question of ups and downs. So definitely these changes which we are talking are there to stay. They will not go after the incidence has come down. They will become, as now you saw, is post-COVID era.
Yeah.
Post-COVID era means that it's the new normal. Still, the incidence is there. Only thing is that the adoption of these practices we have done, the customer has also done, and they will also go for more virtual consults. They will also go for more teleconsults in normal times also when the incident. So definitely, I think, and definitely the tracking of patients' feedback system is one thing where I think AI and is going to be a very important thing, how we are able to track customer centricity and patient satisfaction rates. And definitely I feel that the tele ICUs is the new horizon, because teleconsults is one thing, but when earlier I was part of Apollo as a central regional CEO, now as a metro, as a group medical director and CEO, seen that the usage of technology, because the doctors are less, and in the far-flung area you find that the access to healthcare, definitely doctors are not there, they're in metros, patients are in peripheries. So the usage not only for the teleconsults but for the sick patient management, for the critical patient management, there also I think there is a through that patient centricity, and definitely, and the innovation is the main thing. The innovation, like robotic surgery I mentioned. Now patient also wants to go for robotic surgery. Earlier, there were some reservations. They had some thought processes, some mental blocks. But now they know it is contactless. It's more safe in today's time. So any change which we talk becomes a implementable and a successful change only when the customer or the patient adopts the change.
Yeah,
Because it cannot be done single-handedly. So definitely the virtual concepts and the change process for the innovation of the robotic surgery acceptance, the improved access, the digital power, and healthcare is now become like a social responsibility. Let me emphasize on this thing because COVID has taught us. You see, India spending on healthcare is lowest, one of the lowest in the world with 1.2%. And I was recently going through a journal, and I think COVID has taught us this lesson that health is like very integral part, and it's like a social responsibility because everyone has to be part of the health to improve the overall access to healthcare, to improve the overall implementation of changes and implementation of the overcoming the challenges. So it is everyone's responsibility. If you have to wear masks, everyone has to wear. So health has become like a social responsibility during the COVID times, and that is definitely going to stay for long term. And definitely, I feel that the education, when we are talking of education, I am also talking of the medical education, where the virtual learnings are going to be adopted more and more. And definitely for patient education also, for customer education also, the virtual consults and the virtual education programs for the medical care, for the guidance, and for the prevention, for the because India is the world capital for cancer, for cardiac diseases, for the lifestyle modification, especially for the diabetes. India is world capital. So what are the habits, what are the main key points? So for the education purpose also, I feel that during this COVID times has taught us that definitely that people will be adopting it on a virtual platform. And definitely, I think that change we are going to witness post-COVID, or when. And last but not the least, I want to emphasize is on the cyber security, because technology and the internet and the connectivity and the improved access. But I think somewhere down the line, definitely the cyber security and the firewalls and the antiviruses and that is one area which I think has become very, very important in today's time. And as a matter of fact, how you clean your cookies, how you are digitally, if your computer is not working, like you are not working. So it's become so very integral and important, and same for the customer also.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sandeep. So I'll go back to Barua sir. Sir, what's your thought process quickly for customer experience in healthcare marketing now? A quick thought.
Yeah. So are you talking about the AI implementation and how we can make it the customer satisfaction? You see, first we'd like to, as all were mentioning, on all are agreeing that AI is the next level of technology which can transform the healthcare. Most of the 100% of the world leaders actually this think artificial intelligence will soon transfer the healthcare. That is no doubt of it. The healthcare and AI powered estimated that market will exceed is a 34 billion by 2025. So we can understand what is the implication of AI. Now, if you see the number of startups in AI, though in our country AI is little in early stage, we have, yes, of course, we have started working for last 5-7 years, but still implementation part or acceptance part is little delayed, but is of course in the Western countries that has been absolutely accepted and they are taking up. And if you see the startups actually, it's almost 14-fold it has increased. Since 2000, in this 20 years time, that has been 14-fold. This is your startup has increased. So artificial intelligence is more than just a digital transformation, if you can consider, and it's not a transformation trend in healthcare only. Now, AI represents the epitome of medical innovation in industry. All we are talking about lot of innovation in this industry. So, but there's AI it will be an epitome of medical innovation. And many of the investment is still continuing in this healthcare industry so far the AI is concerned. Now, as we were talking about more of the digital marketing, but we would like to say that AI is particularly, basically is for most of the patients is a medicine. Medicine brings to this AI in a very, very big way it is coming up. Yes, of course, there is a chatbots and virtual health assistant or another AI-based technology that is very, very coming up and becoming very familiar with the patient. And chatbots can fill a multiple of roles from customer service representative to diagnostic tools. That is also a very important part that is talking about. Now, you see this your AI actually more is working on this your precision medicine, medical imaging, and your drug discovery and genomics. That has been more working. And for instance, cancer patients used to receive cookie cutter, the treatments with high failure rates. Now you see that's at present what is the AI has changed the whole thing, transformed. And the sophisticated pattern recognition actually, and these patients have access to personalized therapies tailored to their genetic, makeup and lifestyle.
Yeah.
Huge kind of implementation happened. One thing also AI is giving up. If you see in the maybe it's too early for our to estimate, but it has been estimated in the US because they are hugely using this AI. That and they predicted to bring $150 US, that is $1 billion. Is an annual savings for the US healthcare economy by 2026. That they will reduce the cost implementing AI. So AI in terms of yes, of course, many our eminent speakers, they have already talked about there is a digital marketing, digitizations. Yes, of course, the whole market, that scenario is changing very fast. And we are implementing different innovative ways to reach out to the consumer, to the customers, to the patients. And digital marketing is taking shape in a very, very big way. Of course, AI is going to take up this digital marketing because the way the FMCG or the retailers, they have started already using AI as a tool to assist their customers in particularly Amazon and all. They have started working the behavior part of the customer, and accordingly they are that they are leveraging or alluding to customers in that in their fashion. So definitely it is going to come up. AI will be used, though it has started with the medical treatment, cancer treatment, but it is going to change the whole healthcare delivery system. And yes, marketing, yes, of course, it is going to play a major role in the marketing too, that we are expecting.
Absolutely, sir.
I just want to add one thing, that especially the role of AI in analytics and in radiology side segment, in neural side is enormous. And I think that is one area where I think I see a huge potential for AI, and especially precision analytics for the pathology as well as for the radiology. That is one area I think. But also things like protocol driven treatment, like antibiotic resistance is one thing where I think AI has a huge role and is going to electronic health records is again one area where I think AI is going to give a huge impetus and huge push, which is going to impact. Device-based learning is again one area where I think scope for AI is going to be. Then immunotherapy in cancer. That is where I think main role for AI is going to be in the immunotherapy segment. And training is one area I have mentioned earlier also. Is training is the main area where the AI is going to play a huge role in risk scoring and stratification of risks. That is again one area where, especially I mentioned that India has highest number of cardiac patients. So how we are able to stratify the risk for the cardiac patients, the AI is going to have more predictive role in time to come. And I think there, in especially cardiac and cancer, these are the two areas where I think AI will definitely have a huge role in time to come. And definitely I think the usage of smartphones and usage of powerful diagnostic tools is again one major area where I think machine learning and EEGs, and especially the neuro segment, cardiac, neuro, and cancer. These are the three areas where the customers are going to get the main benefit out of the AI.
Yes, absolutely. So I need to quickly go back to Mr. Samir about, what's your, sir, quickly, what's your thought process of AI, ML in healthcare marketing? Your quick thoughts. You are in mute, sir.
Yeah, it's an interesting question because I've never really thought about it specific to healthcare marketing. I mean, I'm actually doing my part-time doctorate in artificial intelligence at IIT Madras. So the joke is, I thought, let me go and learn what I didn't understand at all. What I am learning is I'm one of the dumbest guys in the room, because a lot of 21-year-old BTechs or MTechs and PhD students that are 25-year-olds are much smarter than us guys who have been around the block, especially when they are able to put machine learning plus AI. So I think AI is a big word for a black box, right? But with a computer that has a more advanced sentient-like interface that is able to improve on itself. Right?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of what I heard recently in terms of what happens in cancer care, that's just big data analytics. Risk stratification to me sounds like simple rule-based learning engines rather than AI at all. I'm not sold that's AI, my honest opinion. I think where a continuously learning bot system will work is clearly on the digital interface, like a chatbot for just customer engagement. So most of us have tried customer relationship management systems. In the old days, it was banks. You pick up a phone, you got to a call center. They had an IVR system interface going on in the background that had this rule-based linkage and like some sort of flow to a different department.
Yeah, absolutely.
The advantage of, I think, AI is it may hear, for example, you having an emergency and it puts you to the top of the list. Yeah. It may hear that you are getting extremely pissed off with the interface out there, and it may send you to a different channel. Right? It may hear that the first words that you're trying to speak have an accent on it, or may be in Hindi, for example, and therefore Tamil in our case, and therefore send you to the right person to speak to rather than just send you to another call center receptionist, right? So I think the AI utilization in near term, meaning that what we will see in the next year, I think a lot of chatbots will see emergence. I think a lot of these WhatsApp for business and hospital interfaces will come about. I think there is a use case for AI in robots, but we're nowhere near ready, because the problem is every human body is a personal interface, and AI is great for personal, but robots are not, right? So mixing robots with AI for something like surgery just sounds like extremely stupid to me, because one needs the most personalized interface possible, which is the human being, and the other one needs standardization, which is typical automotive and widget manufacturing, right? And so if you're asking me, shall I put AI into robots today? The answer is I might have AI into robots that help my person, like I think our friend from AMRI, and I think also Alok had mentioned that you could have these robots walk around the hospital and effectively do an interface. Now, I think AI in those robots for path understanding makes a lot of sense. But AI in that robot for what to do once it meets a customer may not need AI. It may just need simple, hey, can I help you? Oh, you want to go to my cafeteria? Follow me, right? Or you want to go to, I don't know, the OPD, you got an appointment which started 3 minutes and you're late, follow me, right? Or follow the red line. I don't know. It's a simpler interface than that. But I think the one good thing we have is because of the amount of interest in AI in healthcare, and because of the amount of excitement in healthcare because of COVID, I would say, and our government of India finally taking it seriously. I'm talking about healthcare. I'm not talking about COVID, right? The government took healthcare very seriously when the BJP came into power, because they finally put it on the agenda and they put some money on the table. They may not have put enough money on the table, but that's a complaint that Alok and many of us will have off the record. But I think because they did that, we've seen an advantage in the amount of interest from investors, the amount of interest from startups or entrepreneurs, and the amount of interest from students to really solve big problems in healthcare, going up from, I would argue, level -3 because we were resistant to perhaps +7 because of the post-COVID reality that we need machines to make our life better, right? The biggest use case, if you ask me, for AI, and it was an aha moment for me personally, will be in space where you and me do not want to waste the next 50 years of our life in sleep or deep sleep, because a robot will actually go across the planet where there is no need for that to be active, and therefore it saves battery life until it needs to wake up, and then it can solve real big problems. Today, I don't need AI for 80% of AI's work. Today, a human being is 100x better, and actually give the human being that work, because if you take away that work from the human being, especially in places like India, we're actually doing disservice to a population that needs to skill up or reskill itself.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank
One
you.
point I want to make, I think we are not competing humans with AI. It's about a clinical support system which it offers to a clinician. Like I mentioned about sepsis, predicting sepsis and then helping us in risk stratification. Cardiac studies, especially where India has such high, if we use artificial intelligence, we are able to stratify the risk factors and reduce the occurrence of cardiac diseases. Absolutely. I think we are not talking of substituting clinical systems in this. We are talking of supporting clinical systems through the usage of artificial intelligence.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what Mr. Samir was, mentioning, that how AI is being involved. I know, Chandan, I need to come back to you, but before that, I need to take a quick call from Dr. Alok as well. Dr. Alok, what do you think your experience in healthcare marketing using AI and ML?
Oh yes, as Samir said, the most prevalent use case is right now using chatbots.
Yeah.
So of course you can have kind of. We started with rule-based chatbot, and now are graduating to a conversational chatbot. Trouble with most of the Indian chatbot companies is they use Google's AI engine, which somehow I've been told at the moment doesn't speak anything other than English. So we found that many of our customers were kind of inconvenienced because they were speaking Telugu, right? So we finally found out an Indian company which has got its own engine, and they've got lots of PhDs and a bunch of patents, and they are developing an open-ended conversational chatbot which will do text as well as voice. Nice. So like Siri, you can talk in Telugu, it will answer you back in Telugu, script or in audio also, all on the website, right? And it can answer questions, it can understand your problems, and it can book an appointment with a consultant right there on your mobile website. So before that, we of course converted our mobile to a mobile optimized website. So if you go to omnihospitals.in on the mobile, you get a different version of the website as opposed to the regular desktop website, right? So that is one. Then there's so many, technology, let's forget marketing as an issue. Technologies, finally, when the hospitals, because of COVID, they said, okay, let's do technology. They realized there's so many beautiful things they can do. Simple things which make life beautiful for administrators, patients, doctors, everybody. I'll give you 2 examples. These 2 examples we did in our hospitals, and I'm happy to say that they are becoming more and more, and people are selling those ideas in UK and England. One is every hospital from Chennai to New York has a porter problem, right?
Yeah.
You're always short of porters,
Yes.
especially in the morning shift when even a very decent hospital will not have more than 4 or 5 housekeeping people. Half of them do porter duties, half of them do patient attendant duties, right? In the morning shift, once the orders are there, somebody has to go to the lab, somebody has to go to radiology, something has to go here, something has to go there. All 5 are out. And suddenly one patient needs a bedpan, there's nobody to give the bedpan, right? It's a problem in every hospital, by the way.
Yes.
Americans and Britishers, they typically gave all they created a porter manager, an assistant manager, gave them walkie-talkies and all kinds of nonsense, and still the porter wait time during peak times for 45 to 50 minutes.
Yeah.
What somebody came up with an idea right here in India and we implemented it. Why don't we treat the porter like an Ola cab? Give him a small device. Don't tag him to a ward. He's part of a pool. He takes a passenger, which may be a patient, which may be a file, which may be a sample from point A to point B. Once he reaches point B, he's free again. And the nearest ordering station who wants a porter, he's available for that station. By doing that in a 1,000-bed hospital, we reduced our porter numbers by 50% and reduced the nurses' wait time for porters from 45 minutes to 15 minutes. How do you like that? Simple technology.
Technology
Made life simple, right? Another one, Samir mentioned about that, of course. Inpatient, there's this weird piece of technology with every new hospital which buy for 20 lakhs, 30 lakhs is called the nurse call system. Totally analog. You press a button here, bloody through a wire, something goes there and a bell goes ding and a light lights up, right? It's like it could have been created in 1910, right?
Yes.
Now, every hospital consultant will tell you, oh, you need a nurse call system, right? And what does the nurse call system say? Whenever the light goes ding, the nurse dreads it because the patient tells you, oh, my bed sheet has not been changed today. Oh, I need a cup of tea, or there is no water in the toilet. Okay, so we said every patient has a mobile phone these days. Even patients from the villages, they all do WhatsApp.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, you send a WhatsApp message to my number. There is there's a rule-based AI sitting there, not an open conversation AI, but a rule-based with some bit of learning capability sitting there. It will understand what are you asking for. It will put that to the head or HOD of that particular department and give a polite reply to you. Sorry to know that you're waiting for a sheet change, sir. Your sheets will be changed in 15 minutes. It doesn't involve the nurse, right? Big hit. The only thing is, we realized that only 20% of patients are using it. The other 80% only know Telugu.
Oh.
So, so now we are engaging another company to make it multilingual.
Okay.
Simple use of technology to solve an everyday problem. Now, more and more such use cases will start coming up. I can tell you another half a dozen if you want, but then that will take time. That we are working with vendors to implement those technologies. Simple code, simple programs, which will make life simple. Samir will agree with me, he has worked in US, that when a patient comes for registration, he stands in a queue and tells the girl asks, no, I've been to the hospital before. Did you get your card, sir? No, sir. Do you know your registration number? No, sir. What's your name? He tells a name. He doesn't even spell it properly, right? He's too old to remember his phone number. Anyway, nobody remembers their phone numbers now. She can't pull his record. She makes a new registration. Okay. He goes to the doctor. Doctor said, oh, I can't pull up your file. You've created a new registration, right? So no, I didn't remember. So then you tell the EMR guy you need to merge the records, right? What about using voice tech to identify the patient?
Absolutely.
We are running a pilot on that. Yeah, when Citibank can identify me, you call a Citibank call center, straight away he asks me, good evening, Mr. Alok. You have been identified by a voice file.
Voice, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So we are going to do that for a patient. The first time he comes and registers, he speaks his name into the file. Next time when he speaks, I'm so and so, it automatically pulls up his registration, right? Simple things.
Yeah.
There are lots of simple things that can be done, which makes day-to-day working easier.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Alok. Thank you so much. So to close this, in nutshell, we conclude that technology will be playing a center stage in online healthcare marketing as well as in patient care in post-pandemic era. This means we need to think about combination of personalization and AI automation. So Aura is the conversation AI platform that can help and understand and intent of a patient while interacting with that. so which can leverage the personalization of complete patient automation itself. So with this, a big thanks to all our panelists, Dr. Sandeep, Mr. Barua, Dr. Alok, Mr. Samir, Mr. Hari Krishna, and Dr. Afreen as well. So we share these thoughts to the knowledge for all our participants and all our viewers. Thank you all our viewers to being with us. Back to you, Chandan.
Yes, thank you, Sujit. Like it was kind of an absolute delight to hear such an interesting, such engaging, and a wonderful, deliberation by all you distinguished speakers and panelists. And congratulations to you, Sujit. You did a wonderful task, in handling such, eminent personalities and doing such a wonderful moderation in a very smooth way. And whereas yeah, and you also enlighten us and gave us a knowledge about what Urai is into and how Urai can help transform the business of healthcare industry as well, the way you are doing for other sectors. So it was very wonderful having you over here as a moderator, and thank you for supporting this mission and this cause by being AI partner in this event. So thank you so much, all you distinguished speakers, sir, from the leading hospitals of the country. You are at the top leadership profile of yours, and you have a great responsibilities over your shoulders, along with your support by the HODs, your doctors, nurses, and the entire hospital staff. You and your team have been delivering an excellent service during this difficult time, sir. Your commitment during this unprecedented time is for the welfare of people and the society. Thus, a big salute to you and entire team, sir. It is, and you really represent the frontline warriors of the country. And to the audience, we hope that you had a wonderful session today. You enjoyed this learned, valuable insights from our eminent speakers, experts, and healthcare professionals. We truly appreciate your time with us. And with this, may I request the backend team to flash the next event which we are coming up with. This is the Health Tech Summit, which we are coming on 12th of February. We'll be having a deep discussion about the emerging tools, technologies, and trends that has transformed the healthcare industry. So don't miss it out. It is the Health Tech Summit 2021 on 12th of February. If you can please note to your calendars. And keep following the social media handles of ADMH. I again thank our eminent speakers for the day. To start with Anupam Kulkarni, the National Health Sales from the INOSAF Digital, which started with the opening session. Rupak Barua sir, Dr. Sandeep Chatar, Dr. Alok Molik sir, Mr. Samir Mehta, Hari Krishnan, Dr. Afreen, and Sujit Biswas. So thank you so much for joining us over here, sir. Stay safe, stay tuned. Namaste.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.